It's the Eagle Community Television Forum with your host, Gary Shorman.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Forum on Eagle Television. Great to have you watching along as we get to talk to one of the coaches from Fort Hays State University. Had a sensational year this year with the Fort Hays State women's basketball program. Our guest is Tony Hobson. And Tony, congratulations on a great year.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. It was a good one.
You know, you talk about your season this year. There's certainly a lot of things that go into having as many wins as you had. Mm-hmm. What was your overall view when you take a look back at this season? Well,
one thing you have to be careful of doing, and that is, you know, when you lose your last game of the year and it's really disappointing, we wanted to play some more games, that you don't just dwell on that and forget about the outstanding season that we did have. So I just think that this was probably one of the more consistent teams I've ever had. You can't win that many games in a row in our conference without just really being persistent and preparing yourself. And I thought this group was just excellent at that. The other thing I think is our depth and the ability for us to have, you know, we had 7 different leading scorers during individual games during the year. So you just didn't know who was going to necessarily score for us, and to this group it did not matter. They were unselfish, they just wanted to win. So I just think the consistency and with which our kids played and prepared themselves was outstanding.
We had a fun team to watch. What is surprising to me is how physical women's basketball is. They get down, they knock hard, they play hard. Mm-hmm. In fact, in some ways, harder than the men's side of things. But they make it a fun basketball game to watch.
Well, you know, what you don't understand sometimes is, unless you're down on the floor, like you get a chance to be down on the floor once in a while, is the size of our athletes is not, you know, we're not dealing with 5'3" and 5'4". We've got some big, strong kids, and our backcourt was, you know, we started 5'11" at the point guard, 6 foot and 6'3" at the wing. So our 3 guards were, you know, were big, rangy kids that can really play, good athletes. And then we probably did have one of the more physical players in the conference, and with Tatiana, with Leggett. She's just strong and plays real hard. And so, yeah, you have to, you can't be faint of heart and get anywhere anymore in women's basketball.
Now, do you coach that? Is that something you can coach into these kids, or do they have to come with that kind of heart to play that hard?
Well, I think a little of both. I think, first of all, I think they have to have that a little bit ingrained in them, and not be afraid of a little contact. And then we're physical in practice. I mean, our kids, that's a good thing about having a lot of really good players, is that they have to practice against each other. So they know that if they don't practice hard and go after it, they're probably not going to get a play. So there's a lot of competition in our practices, because you know, that's their goal is to play in games, and they all want to do that. So we go after it pretty good. So I think a little bit of it can be ingrained and taught, and I think our older kids kind of get that through to the younger kids coming into the program, that, hey, this is how it's going to be, and if you're not going to play hard and be a little rough, you're probably going to end up on the ground a lot.
Well, we're going to talk about your coaching success over your career, because you had a nice award recently. I know you don't do this for rewards or for awards, but people come out to watch fun basketball, and Fort Hays State women's basketball was one of the top attendance programs in the country. Mm-hmm. That says a lot when you're talking about Fort Hays State, Hays, Kansas, to have top. I think you were ranked number 2 in attendance in the country.
We have been for, I think, the last 5 years. And it'll be hard to overtake the top team, because we're quite a ways behind them, but we'll probably be number 2 again this year, because our attendance was up this year, I think, over 200 fans per game. A lot of it was because of the regionals. Mm-hmm. But you have to remember those region games, they're all general admission, no freebie tickets, no, you know, there's no gimmicks there.
And a line to wait in.
And a line to get in. So I think it's important. I don't think you should be boring. And I think it's hard to recruit really good players if you play a boring style. And I think it's hard to ask people to sit there for an hour and a half and watch you if you're not exciting. So I think it helps not only in recruiting but in the fans too.
I know there'll probably be some people watching this. Some of your players out there may watch it. I want to see what Coach had to say about us here. So, giving you a chance, you talk to the players. Those kids played with a lot of heart.
Well, they all do, and I think we all have one common goal, and they know that I want to win, that I'm interested in that, and just the competition part of it. But they're the same way. We're of like minds when it comes to most things. I know they think they're a lot different than I am, but when it comes down to the competition thing, we're a lot alike, and they play with an intensity and with heart. I really, I don't have anything bad to say about our players because, they had an outstanding year, and you cannot have a year like we had unless your kids play hard, have good attitudes, and just approach everything in the right way, and I think we did this year.
One of the things you get to do as a coach is you get to go out and say, okay, how do we put some players to fill some holes so that we have a brand new season? What do you look for when you go out and you're on the recruiting trail? Because you've developed a program that people want to come to. Mm-hmm. Kids want to come and play. They want to play for you. They want to play for Fort Hays State. Mm-hmm. What do you look for when you have to pick and choose those that fit into the role?
Well, I think it all starts with, first of all, they have to have the ability to play. I mean, they have to have the skills necessary to be successful, because you don't want to recruit a top-level player that is not successful for you. Maybe not what you need, doesn't play your style, maybe not quite good enough. And it's not a perfect science. Mm-hmm. There's sometimes we miss on a kid that isn't, maybe quite there, and we think we can get her there, but we don't. Most of the time, it works out, probably 90% of the time. So we look for a good athlete, somebody that can physically compete, like you were talking earlier. They have to be physically able to play at our level, and then you look at their skills. But then probably the most important thing is if you can detect their work ethic, and that usually you have to do. I call it the background check. Mm-hmm. You have to talk to some people, and I've been doing it so long that I know a lot of coaches around, and almost all the Kansas kids, I almost know somebody from their town. So if you can get a little background on just, what kind of person are they? Do they work hard? Are they going to try to continue to get better? What kind of students are they? A lot of times you can transfer that work ethic on just checking their transcripts, because that carries over a lot of times on how good their grades are. Not always, but if they're like me, you might have worked halfway hard. Your grades might not have been that great anyway.
Understand that. Yeah.
Or you can not work that hard like I did, and they might not be that great. So it doesn't always translate, but a lot of times it does. So those are just things. Most high school players coming out of high school are not good enough to play for us right away. So that work ethic is important, because we plan on getting them to where they need to be. So if they have a work ethic and a proper attitude, they can improve on a daily basis for us.
Well, one of the challenges I know, those kids also get recruited by others that are out there in different spots around not only our league but other places as mm-hmm. well. What gets them to come to Fort Hays State?
Well, recently, it's our success that we've had in the last 7 or 8 years. It's helped us a lot. Just mm-hmm. I think probably one of the top things that kids look at, first of all, they want to play for a winner, and the first couple years that we were recruiting here, it was difficult because we hadn't had winning success. So that was the first thing. Once you start winning, it gets a little easier. The second thing, I think they want to go to a town that they feel comfortable in. So we sell Hays as a great college town, because we support, as a city, we support Fort Hays State and their athletics. I think first of all, you have to give them something good to watch, and you have to make sure your kids compete, and they'll come support you. And they've proven that time and time again. So we sell that, and we sell our our winning program. We sell our postseason success. We've been successful in the conference tournament. We're the only MIAA team to host the region twice since MIAA started. So just those are the main things. You get them here, and they usually like the Coliseum. It's a good place to have games. We show them some video of our games and show them the crowds and the atmosphere. So we try to sell our atmosphere. And then we also, especially with women's sports, and they're usually a little more interested in the school part of it. And you have to sell the whatever program they happen to be in. So we've got some things here that other places don't have. We have a good nursing program that allows kids to play 4 years of basketball and still be in the program. Some places don't let them do that. We've got some programs that we try to sell. So those are all things that you kind of try to package together that are important. We also sell the fact that we've been the top GPA in the conference for, I think, 9 out of the last 10 years. Last year we were 13th nationally. I don't know what we will be this year, but we'll be in the top 25 somewhere. First semester our GPA was 3.68 cumulative, 14 kids, and that's really high.
That's good.
When you're on the road and when you have the time issues that our kids have, it's hard to do that.
Well, I know we've had a chance on this program to interview a couple of your kids, and they're great kids, so congratulations on that part. We're going to talk about one thing from this season. Is there a memory in this season that you go back when you look at this year? Because you start looking at year after year and you're going, okay, each one of them has a little different way, a different mold, a different outcome. But was there one time in this season that stands out to you?
Well, there's actually, there's 2 or 3, I think, key turning points for us. And one of them was right after Christmas. We hadn't been beat yet. We'd beat a couple good teams at home, Emporia State at home in December, but we hadn't been on the road and been tested, so we went to Central Missouri, first conference game after Christmas, and I didn't really know what to expect. They're defending national champions. They'd lost a couple games, but to good teams, and I think we beat them by 10. But I found out real quick that our team was going to be a good road team, and maybe sometimes almost better on the road because no distractions that you get sometimes playing with at home. So that was a key, I think, right then, that everybody started believing that we're going to be hard to beat, and our kids, I think, knew we were good, but they weren't quite sure yet. They were still nervous about it. So I think that might be the only game we played this year where we were maybe the underdog. Every other game, after that especially, we were the favorite, wherever we played, whoever we played. And there's a lot of added pressure to that. When you're expected to win all the time, you don't celebrate your wins that much because you were expecting to win. So that game, I thought, was a key point. The next one was when we went to Emporia State on Wednesday, and we got beat. And we hadn't been beat. We'd won our first, 17 games, whatever the record was. And you don't know how your team's going to respond. And we had to pick ourselves up and turn around and then drive back to Topeka and play Washburn on Saturday, who was also, I don't know what the record was then, but they ended up getting 4th in our conference and winning 22 games, and they were a good, solid team. Hard place to play for us. And we played great. We were up 14-16 most of the game, ended up winning by 8. But just a great bounce back game. So a big test right there is how are you going to respond to a disappointing loss where we actually were in a position to win that game at Emporia and we got beat at the end. And so those 2 especially. And then the final one was a 2-part story. We're up at Kearney on the road. We're down 20 with 5 minutes to go in the third quarter.
I was listening to that.
And did you keep
Gerard,
listening,
yeah,
or did you
Gerard,
shut it off?
No, I kept listening. Gerard was pretty excited in that game.
Well,
at the end.
Yeah. And anyway, I found out a lot about my team there, and they found out a lot about themselves, is that they just refused to give up. We had no business winning that game, and came back from 20, and actually in 10 minutes, with 5 minutes to go in the game, we're up one. And I told Talia, my assistant, that we came back too soon. We should have waited. So this was the end, and it ended up going overtime. And we ended up winning that game in overtime, but we lost our point guard. That's the game Carly Heim got hurt, and we lost her for the season. So that was a devastating loss to us. Just mentally was tough on us. And our next game was a road game down at Pitt State. So we're going down there. They're ranked 24th or 5th in the country, 2nd in the conference at the time. And we had to play without Carly. No point guard, really. We had a freshman wing player, Haley Walker, who we'd been trying to play at some point. Hate to throw her in there, so we just put Taylor Rolfs at the point, had Casey Kennett play some point, and we beat them by 25 points. So that little, just the response of, we hate losing Carly, but it's not going to be the end of things. So I think those were 3 just character testers. You just kind of find out a lot about your team.
It's like life. Those things happen. You figure out what's going to respond.
You know what? Things aren't always going to go according to plan. So you just have to make sure that you just react in the right way.
If it did, coaching would be easy, right?
If it did, life would be easy, wouldn't it?
Coach, I know you don't like to talk about yourself, but your awards are piling up. You had a great award. One you haven't won. We're going to talk about when we come back. Our guest is Fort Hays State women's basketball coach Tony Hobson. Back after this.
Hays Med is your first and best choice for healthcare. They're the only facility providing tertiary level services in this region. With more than 70 physicians and 26 specialties ranging from heart, orthopedic, spine care, cancer, obstetrics and gynecology, wound care, rehabilitation and surgery, including the Da Vinci robotic surgery, Hays Med is your comprehensive health provider for people throughout Western Kansas. Hays Med, helping people be healthy.
Eagle Communications is your ultimate business partner. We provide business class phone with customizable features and fast, reliable internet. Your knowledgeable team at Technology Solutions has a broad base of IT services to meet your needs. Let the experts at Marketing Solutions get your message to the right people on the best platforms. The only piece missing is your business. Call Eagle Communications today at 877-61-EAGLE.
Hi everyone, this is Gerard Welbrock inviting you to join us for Tiger Talk. We record it over the noon hours, Mondays at Old Chicago, north of the interstate in Hays, and play back at 6 o'clock Monday nights on Tiger Radio Mix 103. You can also catch it on Eagle TV's channel 14 and 614, Tuesday and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m., and always on HaysPost.com. So join us for Tiger Talk over the noon hour, Mondays at Old Chicago.
Welcome back to our Forum program here on Eagle Television, brought to you by Hays Med. Our guest today, Tony Hobson. And Tony, you just won. It's an award for the outstanding college 4-year basketball coach. It's the first time you've won this, a 31-2 record, or 32-2 record this past year. Mm-hmm. And congratulations, because those awards are not easy to come by. That award is not easy to come by.
Well, thanks. It's the first time I've won that one, and those things are always an honor. The coaching awards, what they mean to me is that we've had a good season. They're not. It's nice to be recognized, but it's kind of like, we always talk to this about our players at the beginning of the year, and that is, don't ever think about the individual things, because if your team is successful, people are going to get recognized. And I think it's just a good lesson for our players to learn, because this year, after the year we had, the awards just started rolling in for everybody. Mm-hmm. We had the Conference Player of the Year in Tatiana. She was an All-American. We had 2 kids make the All-Region team, tournament team. We had different kids make the conference tournament All-Tournament team, showing, our depth. We had 5 players make All-Conference. And then, a couple things come my way, So I just don't look at these at all as an individual coaching award. They're a team success award, And if your team's good and you win some games, or like I said, you know, it's fun to win something. You know, you can schedule wins on your schedule. If you're creative, you can always win games, but you know, to win titles, the MIAA is not an easy conference to win, and with 14 teams and everybody really is competitive in basketball. The conference tournament's not easy to win, and both of them combined are really hard to win at the same year. So just, you know, it's a team award, and like I said, you know, to the winner go the spoils, and we had a lot of individual awards on our team, and the players really deserve them.
Well, I know you deserve this. I've seen you in action. I've seen the team in a 32-2 record this past year. You had the whole town buzzing, and that last game was a battle going down to that, and you're right, 32 wins is a big success, and getting to that point, the challenges and those things, congratulations on a terrific season, congratulations on the recent honor, and all those others that have been piling up for both you and the team, so congratulations on
Well,
that.
thanks a lot, I appreciate it.
I know you look into next year. Was it 33-1 next year, or how do you start making those plans?
See, there you go. There goes the pressure again. I know we start off the season with a really tough schedule. We play actually one of the teams that was here playing in the region, one of our crossover games, Minnesota Duluth. We play maybe our first game. It'll be one of our first 2 games on a neutral floor. So we'll be tested early, but you know, I'm not sure if I'm those other teams. I'm not sure they want to. I don't know if they want us early in the season either, because we've got a lot of good players coming back.
Well, Coach, look forward to seeing you. Look forward to being on the court up close where you can see all that action. I look right across at you over there and watch you in action from the coaching sideline over there. You do a great job.
Okay, well, thank you.
Tony Hobson's been our guest here on the Forum on Eagle Television. Thanks for watching. The Forum's brought to you by Hayes Med and by Eagle Communications, our community connected.